Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We have some really good news to share with you heading into tomorrow, and it has to do with crypto and the evolving margin call liquidation that we've seen for weeks now. It looks like Bitcoin is stabilizing as we hoped it would over this weekend, but I'll give you the latest details and what has happened over the last 24 hours. Now, we're also going to get into your Tesla stock news, your broader market news as well, and my expectations for this upcoming week. Do me a quick favor and hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Check that link out down below in the description of today's episode if you guys want to come join the trading community. For those of you guys that are excited about AI, you're looking for the potential in AI stocks that are not necessarily well known or hyped about stocks. That is the area that we are targeting. So come join us if you would like to, but let's get started. Okay, so first and foremost, there's been a lot that's happened in this market, okay? We had a 40-day long government shutdown. There was uncertainty around how the economy was doing. There was uncertainty around AI and whether or not it was a bubble. Now, we got the government shutdown ended. That did not solve the question of how is the economy doing? How is the consumer doing? Walmart earnings showed the consumer is fine. Economy is chugging along. There's not much of a change. That's from Walmart executives. Like, they're not seeing much of a difference. We got the September jobs report. I know it's not October. That's the month people were really concerned about, the whole government shutdown. But that came in twice as good as expected, over 2 times as good as expected. So there's a lot more certainty on the economy, and the certainty is the economy is doing just fine, the consumer is doing just fine, and we're heading into the holiday shopping season. And let me tell you, I went to like a strip mall thing, or like an outlet mall, I guess, where there's a bunch of like different outlets. I went to get this hat. I actually bought 2 more hats as well, just because, like, well, why not? I needed a new Lions hat. And oh my gosh, that thing was packed. People were everywhere. And I've heard similar reports from other people in the trading community that have done similar shopping and have reported back that it's crazy where they live too. So, again, economy's fine. Holiday shopping season is fine. We had NVIDIA earnings. They were great. AI is alive and well. There's no bubble issues there. Okay. Why did stocks sell off like they did on Thursday? Sure. There's issues with the Japanese yen carry trade. But did that cause the reversal last week? No. Okay. The same crisis does not hit twice. Did the rate cut odds moving as much as they did, going from pricing in a cut to not pricing in a cut, back to pricing in a cut again, did that crash the markets? I don't think so. I don't think a rate cut is that important if the economy is doing well and AI is alive and well. Okay? What was crashing the markets was crypto. Okay? Bitcoin, easy barometer you can look at, but there's more than Bitcoin out there, right? Bitcoin fell 36% from the high to the low. What I wanted to see over this weekend was a stabilization. We don't have to go straight up, okay? We don't have to see some kind of crazy rally. We just need to stop the margin calls. We just need to stop the liquidation event, okay? That is all. It appears like we have done that, okay? Bitcoin from the low that you actually hit on Friday was $80,732. Over this weekend, you've stabilized, and you're now even moving higher heading into tomorrow. You're currently at $86,856 on Bitcoin. So you've actually seen Bitcoin go up about $2,000, more than $2,000, just in the last 12-ish hours, okay? You are at a pretty important level as well on the 30-minute chart. The 200-day moving average is $86,897. So you're like $50 away from that. If you can break out above that, which does seem to have been a technical level of resistance, many times in the past, then that could spark an even larger move to the upside. Okay. But crypto generally in the last 6 weeks has been the main culprit to this market. Think about it like this. You had one event with a stable coin on one exchange that completely blew out 400,000 traders. Okay. What happens? They got margin called. They had to sell. The price went lower. Then the next guys got margin called. They had to sell. The price went lower. Then the next guys got margin called. They had to sell and the price went lower. Okay? It's a snowball effect of margin calls. So if you were dead set that Bitcoin was going to be over $100,000 at least by the end of this year, and you were margining for that and you were leveraged for that, yeah, you started to see things really get bad once you broke below $100,000. It seemed like not a lot of people were expecting that. Well, now that you've actually stabilized here, you can start to get markets that move to the upside. Now, people are going to say, why does crypto don't matter for stocks? Yeah, the collateral is stocks. The collateral is other assets as well as crypto. Okay? Where you see one liquidation, you tend to see other assets get liquidated. And that is what has happened with crypto recently. And the good news is we should be over that at this point. I think we've seen enough pain that the problem has flushed itself out. Now, also in the news over this weekend, it says here, new U.S. moves on Venezuela. The United States is preparing to launch a new phase of operations targeting Venezuela, according to 4 U.S. officials cited by Reuters. The timing and scope remain unclear and is not confirmed whether President Trump has approved final action. Speculation has grown in recent weeks as U.S. military forces move into the Caribbean amid rising tensions with President Nicolas Maduro's government. And people are talking about like covert CIA operations. If you don't know, the CIA kind of specializes in insurgency operations, like overthrowing foreign government. Like that's literally, the CIA has overthrown multiple U.S. governments before, okay? And, well, we'll see what would happen in the oil market if that takes place. Venezuela has a lot of oil, although a lot of it doesn't hit the public markets. A lot of oil does get released still into the global market. So, I usually don't cover like war conflicts because they just don't move the markets. It's typically not something that has any effect, but Venezuela could have an impact on oil. Hard to say if that would be a good or bad impact, and what kind of inflation implications that would have. Now, the CNN Fear and Greed Index is sitting at 11. So, on Thursday, this was at 6. I mean, the markets have been pretty washed out for a while. You went through a literal technical correction. Corrections typically more than a 5% decline on the S&P, NASDAQ, Russell, Dow, your major indexes. And all of them are down more than 5%, or were down more than 5%, with like the NASDAQ was down over 8%, Russell was down almost 9%. It got pretty rough out there, and that's the index. Under the surface, it was even worse. Market momentum, extreme fear. Stock price strength, extreme fear. Stock price breadth, extreme fear. Put in call options, extreme fear. Market volatility in fear. Safe haven demand, extreme fear. Junk bond demand in extreme fear as well. The AI Investor Sentiment Survey shows 43.6% of investors are bearish, 23.9% are neutral, and 32.6% are bullish. So just really bearish, right? People have been bearish for a while. The percent of stocks trading above their 50-day moving average, you had a good day on Friday, 8.15% of stocks broke above their 50-day moving average, but you're still sitting at 37.2%. There's still you're still in pretty well correction territory from that metric. Now, the big change was on Friday. You started pricing in a Fed rate cut again. Fed Williams came out and supported a Fed rate cut. Fed Collins and Fed Hammock said they have an open mind for December. And Fed Moran said he supports, not a surprise, a 25 basis point rate cut. So it does seem like it was kind of orchestrated, like the Fed wanted to cut rates this whole time, but maybe didn't want the markets expecting that, right? Give them a little bit of optionality. But the BLS delayed the CPI report, they delayed the jobs report until December 16th. The Fed meeting is December 10th, so we're not going to have any other economic data, but it definitely looked like the Fed the whole time wanted to cut rates December 10th. And I think that's why the odds move so much. On Thursday, you were pricing in a 28.5% chance of a rate cut. Now you're pricing in a 67.3% chance of a rate cut. And, a rate cut doesn't do a whole lot, but especially for the crypto market that has been under so much pressure recently, it's liquidity. In any way, shape, or form we can get liquidity, crypto loves it. You really need it for crypto when you're dealing with margin calls the way that we have been. Okay, so that definitely helped the crypto markets at least a bit. And, this recovery is in the process, it looks like. Now, in the news specifically for Tesla, Tesla's FSD V14.2 is now rolling out to more owners. This includes Model 3, Model Y, Model S, Model X, and Cybertruck. Tesla owners have now collectively driven 6.5 billion miles on FSD supervised, and it's on track to cross 7 billion by the end of the year. Tesla is asking owners in Europe to contact Dutch regulators via the link below to express your excitement for FSD and to encourage regulators to approve it. Tesla says, quote, "We have developed and shared detailed safety evidence for FSD, now public in our latest safety report, and we have driven over 1 million kilometers safely on EU roads across 17 different countries." This is internal testing, which is a lot of miles. The width of the U.S., if you want to drive from east to west coast, roughly 3,000 miles, give or take. So, that's 600,000 miles driven in Europe. That's a lot. They say, as a result, we are gathering evidence to get exemptions on a specific rule-by-rule basis. Unfortunately, the real-world fleet proven safety wins alone are considered insufficient. Now, Tesla's FSD Supervised has officially launched to some hardware for owners in South Korea, marking the 7th country to receive FSD. So the list is getting larger. You have the US, Canada, China, Mexico, Australia, New Zealand, South Korea, and Puerto Rico, which is a US territory and at some point in our lifetime will become a US state. Elon Musk calls on talented engineers to apply and help Tesla design and build the next-gen AI chips. They say, quote, "Our Tesla's goal is to bring new AI chip design to volume production every 12 months. We expect to build chips at higher volumes ultimately than all other AI chips combined." Read that sentence again, as I'm not kidding. "These chips will profoundly change the world in positive ways, saving millions of lives due to safer driving and providing advanced medical care to all people via Optimus. Send an email with 3 bullet points describing evidence of your exceptional ability to AI chips at Tesla.com. And I mean, this is something I have to point out. Elon is back. Okay, I know we've talked about this before, but this is something that I think is going to start getting in the conversation a lot more, especially as the markets recover, in my opinion, this upcoming week and into the end of the year. Elon actually working to create shareholder value is huge for Tesla. I mean, for a while there, Elon didn't have a contract with Tesla. There was uncertainties if Elon would just one day up and leave Tesla. And, people were convinced that Elon was not really running Tesla. Well, you can see that's not the case anymore. Okay, you can see Elon is very much involved. And I think that in and of itself gives Tesla another reason for people to buy the stock. Elon Musk says that he is deeply involved in the chip design and meets with the engineering team every Tuesday and Saturday. He says the Saturday meetings are short term and will no longer be needed in a few months when AI 5 is tapped out. Investing with Brandon says here, says Optimus is coming. Elon Musk says big time. Like, this is something that's not even priced into Tesla's stock at this point, right? Optimus, are we kidding, right? Nobody's paying attention to that in the Wall Street world at this point. But it's becoming real. And as we get closer to 2026 and then into 2026, where we are expecting some kind of volume production by the end of 2026, people will start to give that more attention. And the total addressable market of, what Tesla is doing with robotaxi is massive, right? It's their market for the taking. There's no market leaders in autonomous ride-hailing services at large, right? Waymo, no. Nobody has the market right now. It's everyone's market to compete in. Optimus, really nobody has that market. That is really Tesla's market to dominate. And, I think Wall Street's going to have to give that a little bit more credit after Elon's comp package was approved and people see just how involved he is in making Optimus a reality. Now, in option activity for Tesla stock on Friday, you had 181 different trades totaling almost $200 million with a positive order value of 83%. Not a big shocker. It was a pretty low dollar amount relative to Tesla's standards. Like Thursday was almost $1 billion worth of option activity. But it was very positive, 83% positive order value. And, Tesla was actually red on the day. It was down 1%. Now, you did see a nice move in after hours, up 0.70%. But, that's just to show you guys, Wall Street is positioning for the upside in Tesla. They have been for a while. Now, they're hedging their bets a little bit. There has been an increase to the short position in Tesla, going from about 2.5% to 3.25%. The amount of shares sold short going from about 72 million to 77.5 million. And on Friday, there was over 1 million shares that were sold short. So again, the stock was red on Friday. There was some shorting pressure, but there's 77.5 million shares sold short. Okay, that's more than most days worth of volume for Tesla. Even if you get 5 or 10 million shares that want to cover on the next news headline, you're going to be looking at a significant rise in Tesla stock. And as I said in the prior video, by the end of this year, I think you're going to be looking at Tesla at a $500 stock. Okay, all of the pieces to the puzzle are here for a year-end rally. I think it's just a matter of when does it precisely start. From a technical perspective, Tesla has an RSI of 38, so there's a lot of room to strengthen to the upside. In fact, this is the most Tesla has been oversold since back here in June of 2025. At that time, Tesla hit a low and then rallied back to the highs. Before that, you got to go back to, the March-April crash, and then obviously that's when Tesla hit lows and then started to rally. So the odds are really good of an upside reversal that starts this week, that probably lasts throughout the rest of this year into Q1, in my opinion. You do want to watch, if we get downside, the 100-day moving average around $381 per share. Tesla stock is at almost $94 per share. So you should find support there. If you don't, if the markets for whatever reason get scared again and sell off, I don't see it, but if that happens and you break below the 100-day moving average, things get pretty ugly below there. Now, if we can get above the 50-day and the 20-day moving average at around $433, both of these moving averages have kind of converged on each other. That's where you're going to be targeting, some of the higher upside levels, like $500 a share, or a run to a new recent high, which the last one we had was $474 per share. You break these moving averages, and I think the upside could get pretty explosive. Now, Scott Bessent is coming out with some headlines, and he says the entire economy is not at risk of recession. Bessent says that interest rate sensitive sectors are in recession, but confident about 2026 growth prospects. This is not new information. He's talking about real estate. He's talking about, industries that are sensitive to interest rates. They've been in a recession for a long time now. This is not new information. Bessent says that he expects some prices to come down in weeks and others in months. Bessent says that energy prices are down and this will help push down other prices. Bessent says that inflation is up because of services, not imported goods. And Bessent says that we will see an announcement this week on healthcare costs. Bessent also spoke about the quote-unquote peace negotiation with Russia and Ukraine. So let me know your thoughts on this down below in the comment section. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Check that link out down below in the description of today's episode if you have not done so already. Now, in the next video, we're going to be going over all of your major catalysts for this week and my specific expectations for Tesla. Where do I think the stock's going to go? How do I think this week's going to transpire based on the catalyst that we have and when we have these catalysts? So that is it. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.